Hey there, welcome. Greetings from the beach. So let's show you where I am. I'm here at Huntington Beach, and it's a lovely day. There's one surfer right there. There's another guy going out right there. There's another guy further out. Oh, he's right there now. He's paddled just in front of us. He's way out there. And a good number of people on the beach. It's going to be a busy one today, I think. I came down yesterday for a swim, and there were a lot of people here. It's hard to even find a place on the sand. So I've got my little spot here, and I'm going to read a little bit. Probably not too long. My chair broke, and my back is hurting, so I don't know how long I can keep it up. Sitting here is good, but it has consequences. Let's take the shoes off. Ooh, boy. Okay, today I'm going to read from the chapter titled "Going Alone," which is, of course, the name of my book. And we'll explore a little bit about what it takes and what it means to go forward on the path of wildness into the scary places, so to speak. All right, let's see. Have I really read that far into it? It's amazing how doing this every Saturday, I make a lot of progress. And what's also interesting is that the editing seems to really be done, with the exception of changes and additions. It used to be that when I would read the book as a part of editing, and doing this process here, I would find stuff and I'd have to keep a yellow highlighter with me at all times and mark things like typos or things I wanted to change, things that just didn't read well. And I don't do that anymore. I can read the cover to cover and there's no more edits, which I guess means that the editing is done. The only thing that changes now is that I have new ideas and I want to add them in. So this is my book, Going Alone, and this is the chapter called Going Alone. And there's an illustration here by my daughter, Emily, and that's basically the Homunculus. It's a boy on a school bus floating along. Hi there, I see a comment from Tongue in Cheek. Hi there. Hi, hello Kurt, hi there. And this was an idea that I had for actually not just the homunculus, but the pirate ride, the idea that free will is an illusion. And just another glorious morning. Yes, it is indeed. It's really nice. It's beautiful today. Maybe I can change it a little bit and you guys can see a little better the pier, or if I change me. Oh, there, that's nice. That's a nice view. Huh? You can see the pier now. That's a better view. Let me move myself then. I'm glad the audio seems to be working better today. Look at this big old piece of bamboo. Where'd you come from? So anyway, there's an illustration there of a boy on a school bus without a driver, and the school bus is floating in the sea, and or in a raging sea. And that's my idea of no free will. Look at this. We had a whole bunch of jellyfish wash up on the beach this week. There's the shell for one of them. It's kind of a shell-like thing, I guess. They're all over the place. There's another one right there. Okay, here we go. And I don't know how far I'm going to make it. Like I said, my back hurts. And I've been kind of a little bit out of sorts at the end of the week. It's been a tough week. And I'm tired. And just a little bit, how there's just ups and downs of life. And this has been a struggle this last couple of days. So much to do. And life is weighty sometimes. Always. Here we go, Going Alone. And the subtitle is Discovering a Universe Without Apparent Meaning. And a quote, "A major breakthrough of the scientific revolution, perhaps its greatest breakthrough, was to refute the intuition that the universe is saturated with purpose." That's by Steven Pinker. And I think I found that in his book, Enlightenment Now. Very good, positive read. Is that right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, it is. Basically, it's a book that rallies facts against the idea that things are getting worse. Things are, and Mr. Pinker makes a very good case that things are in fact getting better every day, for every generation. Here we go. The great indifference is a perspective which yields an improved understanding of the apparent true nature of the universe. It is a place of clear thought and relentless truth. The way there is never easy, never marked, and can only be reached in solitude, and when the only chance of return is under the power of one's own volition. What you find there may be worth the journey, even if only you alone can understand or appreciate the prize. So I'm speaking, of course, about the suggestion to go to the places of fear, the place of the deep emptiness of deep wilderness, which is a kind of just, it's also a metaphor for courage, to having the strength to live a courageous life, but it also is literally a call to the empty, to the deep wastes of the world. By waste I mean the places that humans don't go, particularly deserts. There is no road or trail to the great indifference, for followers must always lose the way. Strike out at once along the direction of your first inclination. I really like that sentence, if I do say so myself. For followers must always lose the way, because it's counterintuitive, right? You think that if you're following a path that you're going to find the way, but my point is that following the safe trails that others have followed, that have others have laid before us, we just see we can't see the great indifference because it's polluted by their past trespass. Strike out at once along the direction of your first inclination, and your own path will soon be discovered. Or do not find, more importantly, as discovery alone is its own satisfaction. And whatever you later relate to others will fall like alien words upon ears plugged and deafened by fraternity, solidarity, and the warm comfort of common society. Only your fellow travelers in wildness might understand, though their own solitary venture may insulate their ears to whatever vain utterances you elect to voice. Yeah, we do have our tribe out there, but the funny thing is that the tribe can't go together. I recommend this way to those who are ready to lose, prepared to be wrong, and desirous of truth ahead of comfort. By what I mean by lose and prepared to be wrong, particularly prepared to be wrong, is to be prepared to discover where we're wrong, where we're mistaken, be open to realizing that we are making mistakes, serious mistakes about our worldview and our epistemology, our values even. And desirous of truth ahead of comfort, peace, or immortality. Come this way for the sake of virtue, for a sound mind, an even temper, a restful heart, and at last, an honest death. An end without hope of reward, reawakening, or revelation. A fixed point of terminus punctuated upon the tail end of eternity, which is everything after the end of one's living. Really, that's just the suggestion to be willing to come to the place where you have no certainty or even idea about what this is all about or what's to follow, if anything. Likely nothing. That after death is oblivion. No salvation, no revelation, basically no avoiding the permanence of death. The vista of the great indifference, and that's what's yielded by by apprehending the great indifference. You really can't see it because it's nothing, but you apprehend it. It's like a void, like sensing a vacuum, sucking it away. The vista of the great indifference will direct your gaze to your bruised, sore, and bleeding feet, which are the instruments of your arrival in that august place. The pain will grow intense with your notice, a gratifying reality. How sweet the moment of awakening, when the uncaring, corpse-like gaze of reality makes precious the breath of this moment and the next, without thought for any breath beyond, which is only a wishful, potential vapor, nor the breaths already consumed, which have dispersed to mingle with the universal atoms, to never again return orbit round our fleeting, mortal constitution. I would tell you the way to the great indifference if I truly thought I could, though if you go where I said it was found, then the telling would guarantee its absence. Go instead on your own, by your own motive force, along the way only you can see, alone and accepting of your solitude, aware you may never come back, and if you do, that you may never find words to adequately convey what you truly found. That's the tricky part, right? This book isn't a guidebook. It's not pointing the way to go to where you can go to a particular place and place your feet in the same place where I stood and see the great, or sense the great indifference, or sense its absence. Even though it would be there, you wouldn't be able to apprehend it by virtue of the fact that you followed a map, my map, to get there. You have to go on your own, and that's a really hard thing to do. Because it's not a matter of just going into wilderness, it's about going into the right type of wilderness, a moonscape, as I like to say. Now the rest of this chapter, that's all there is for just the standard prose part, where the part that I wrote for the book. The rest is little snippets that came as a result of my living during that period, where I would be just engaged in life or out in the desert hiking, and I would have an idea and I'd write that idea down. And they're little blurbs, as I call them, separated by tilde marks, one after the other. Here we go. And I call this almost every section in the book has this part called Notes from My Muse, which are the inspired. What the hell is that guy going? It's the really inspired part. The words just kind of came upon me all of a sudden, and I had to write them out. There's a guy who looks like he's gonna paddle his surfboard to Japan. Oh, and you can tell them in here because they're italicized and set with these little tilde marks like I did. Here we go. First one. When I talk about going alone, some may think I'm referring to hiking and camping all by myself. That's partially right, but mostly I'm referring to a mental endeavor to seek after and develop life principles without the reinforcement of authority, dogma, or consensus. This doesn't require thinking up the ideas oneself, but instead using reason to discern if a proposition is true and fits with the reality of the world around us. That's going alone. It's only coincidence that being alone in very wild places is an excellent form for rendering truth from the abundance of comforting propositions and stories we tell one another to keep back the dark. When you're alone in the dark, there's nowhere the truth can hide. Yep, he's continuing to just paddle out into the deep. Emily and I lingered at the beach tonight until it was nearly dark. Just before we left, a middle-aged man arrived, limping badly and wearing nothing more than a swimsuit and a beach towel around his neck. He deposited the towel on a rock and limped with difficulty straight into the sea. Once in the cold water and free of his bad leg, he began swimming powerfully out to sea, diving under a few large waves before making it clear of the surf. We watched him swim straight and direct, further and further, as the night got darker and darker. We saw him swim past a family of dolphin, passing far beyond the last rocks in water more than 50 feet deep. The man never veered his course or turned either up or down the coast, but kept straight more than a quarter mile out when darkness overtook our efforts to follow. My last sight of the man was a single swing of his arm rising above the now black sea. I noticed the streetlights were on as Emily and I made our way back to the motorcycle, and I wondered if these would guide the man back to shore when he'd had enough of his solo nighttime winter ocean swim. He's still out there. He's just like the guy I just read about. Just here. There's a man out there on a surfboard paddling straight out to sea. He must be at least a quarter mile out now. He's farther than that. He's far beyond the waves now. Far, far beyond the waves. And he's just paddling straight out. Huh. I wonder where he's going. I won't be able to see him after a while. I'm haunted by the desert now. The pull is powerful and relentless, like a vacuum drawing something to nothing. At the bookstore just now, I discovered a book titled Route 66 Ghost Towns. I eagerly read through the sections on the desert railroad communities of Essex, Amboy, Baghdad, Ludlow, Newberry Springs, and Daggett. The chapter ended with no mention of Siberia. It would seem I've made a very good choice in selecting Siberia as my adopted hometown. By this time tomorrow, I'll be in Siberia. I'll arrive about an hour before sundown, as temps begin to descend from midday highs around 110 degrees or 43 degrees Celsius. There are no ghosts in Siberia, though there is much that is dead. The void left by humanity passing away here has made room for possession by the wind, the heat and cold, and the steady progress of time. These things ignore my presence, though they'd appear different if I was not alone. I'd see only ruin and desolation with another. I'd see ghosts which there never were. I'd see ghosts which were never there. I leave a thinning trail of connection with every mile I put between my life and the desert. This thread grows so slender that 100 miles out I dangle like a spider on a silk strand. The melodramatic abyss looms, a humorous caricature of nature. If only it weren't so real. I hang there for a day, in the wind and the sun, knowing the threat of exposure is nothing compared to the frailty of that one long, slender thread. The steep and rugged mountains of Japan never scared me. Even that time I ran from the mother boar, and again several times when giant hornets swarmed to check me out. The mountains were far too civilized life to offer any real threat. Not human life, but life itself. The mere fact that the landscape had a pulse, and a vibrant one at that, dissuaded my fear and alleviated my apprehension. Even to die in those remote, unpeopled mountains would be to pass in the embrace of what is both familiar and alive. The desert offers no such comfort. What lives there is sparse, mute, and still. There's little hum or buzz or grunt, just some howl from time to time, which carries lonesome sentiment and a desperate pleading. Even birdsong sings of solitude. The wind speaks loudest here, and the sun burns its case without respite from sunup to sundown. I fear the desert, even before I go. He seems to be coming back now, satisfied his quest. I'm halfway to Siberia and thinking of that long 100-mile thread I mentioned earlier today. Could it be that the thread actually originates out here? How unlike the unthinking wastes of nature and the timeless non-existence before birth and after death. During the night at Siberia, I left camp to wander alone over the desert in search of night things, nocturnal spiders and snakes, and the things which stare from the dark with glimmering eyes, and the stars which come out, and the moon in its time. The wind, too, enjoys the night, moving in warm gusts over the land, always inward, towards the deep center of the desert. While thus employed during my nighttime hike, I came upon that stone-lined footpath I've mentioned before. With nowhere better to go, I followed for a pace, minding the path's straight course from darkness into darkness, thinking over the mind, process, and hands which produced this way. What motive brought it about? What purpose did it serve? With every footstep here long removed by the wind, only my own senseless allegiance to precedent justifies a claim I can never know. Let's move around a little bit. The desert is as sorry a companion for thought as it is for fraternity. I sometimes claim that my muse lives here, though this is a lie. Whatever sentience moves across the dark sands comes no further than the outskirts of my camp. I mistake its eyes reflecting in my light for those of the fox who lived here first. Neither will come nearer than reflection, nor suggest more than aloof disinterest. The desert and the fox leave me to my own devices, to find thought and words on my own, caring for neither credit nor attribution. This woman that's about to pass, I see her almost every Saturday when I come here. A nondescript slice of concrete in the desert marks the spot where a small island of gas pumps once stood. I discovered the remains of this old Route 66 service station while studying satellite imagery of the desert around the ghost town of Siberia. While exploring the site, my mind contrived the story of human ambition and loss here, which I suspect may bear more than fleeting resemblance to fact. And the ghosts I've borne in my mind for this place are now condemned to haunt these ruins for the rest of my days. I discovered all that remains of the gas station and cafe at the California ghost town of Siberia. Sal and Ruth built this place in the 1920s out of mortar and desert sand. Now, there's no real Sal or Ruth, I just made that up. The combination home and business had 2 gas pumps and a service garage with a maintenance pit. There was a separate door into the cafe which had wooden floors and where Ruth served her customers on fine decorated chinaware. I know that because I found the broken chinaware around the area. When traffic on the old highway at last gave out, Ruth and Sal made the tough decision to leave their life's work behind, to fall to ruin and fade into the desert, while the couple sought better fortune elsewhere. Today, nothing remains of the gas station and cafe but stone foundations and the outlines of lives now smothered in indifference. So those Sal and Ruth, or whoever they were, they're gone, and it must have been a hard day when they decided to leave that, when they realized that that business was done. It must have been a tough call. I've made that same decision and done that same action, and it is a tough call. I further found the stairs which led into the abandoned roadside diner at Siberia, California. How many road-weary American pilgrims stepped up and through the door here for a half-hour of relief upon the relief from the trials of crossing the harsh desert in an unreliable jalopy, or miners coming in from the surrounding claims for a welcome taste of civilization and a home-cooked meal. How many would-be Californians, like my own great-grandfather, came here dreaming of a better life if they could only get across this cursed desert? Is it possible my great-granddad may have actually been here? Did he perhaps at one time step up these 2 steps to receive his first formal welcome into California after his long journey from Illinois? The places of rest were few at that time along this inhospitable stretch of America's Mother Road, making the odds he'd been here not unreasonable nor very far-fetched. Okay, that guy made it back. Now he's headed into shore. He had a good adventure. Here's a crow going for my stuff. You'll find nothing there. He's headed for the camera. High desert temperatures today kept me near Siberia and far from the frontier where the great indifference doesn't loom. Why does it remain so far? Why can't it reclaim the ghost town in the same way as the nocturnal fox who haunts my camp, or the ruin which spoils every human artifact here? It seems human absence is not enough. All reminder, this is key for the going alone piece, all reminder must be gone, save the living pulse of a solitary individual, that would be you, or the person that goes into the wilderness, far off trail, far from any comfort or aid, which is the only companionship the great indifference may ever abide. I wonder if I'll sense this strange absence just before the light of my life winks out, when my body is far off trail, beyond any comfort or aid, when the dark frontier grows near and reality swells with dead promise. I suspect I will. I suspect that's how we all die, and the reason we cling so desperately to this wonderful thing of life. We sense that our living is something of a revolt, a strange and orderly uphill climb against the pull of universal disorder and chaos. The great indifference is that uncaring gravity well we hope to avoid by averting our eyes towards fellowship, love, and laughter, and by telling ourselves and one another comforting stories of reunion, reconciliation, and forgiveness. I should have added the word forever there. But the night doesn't care about our fear, nor the wind our chill, but it's okay without it, nor solitude our lonesome desperation. Better than stories is to face the night, stand in the wind, and embrace today the ones we love. Then we discover indifference. When we discover indifference looming with the intake of our final breath, we can close our eyes and smile peacefully at an inevitable reunion arrived at after a well-lived life. That one paragraph right there pretty much sums up the whole book. And now that guy's out, and he's wandering up the beach now with his surfboard. Nice adventure. Yeah, that one paragraph pretty much says it all. Having the courage to face down the nothing, and then to turn back to realize that all we've got is one another, to build something with our people, and then be in a place to remember that and cling to that as life goes away, spills from our body, or it doesn't spill from our body, winks out, right? Because it doesn't go anywhere. It just stops like a candle going out. Well, I'm tempted to stop now. I think I will. Well, like I said, I'm just not quite myself today. Haven't been myself for a couple of days. So I was thinking it might be allergies, so I took some allergy medicine this morning. I hope that that'll help a little bit. We'll see. Got a lot to do today, too. Ooh. Whew. And maybe it's just, getting older and tired. And, it's just what happens, right? Let's see if there's any comments before I sign off. Okay, good morning. Hi, tongue. Oh, Andy. Hi, Andy. From dust to dust. Yes, tongue in cheek. Oh, and there's me viewer too. Haha. They say. Tongue in cheek. It isn't about the environment, but our perception of the environment. Reality is a subjective experience. Sal and Ruth and the old gas station sound like a seed for a great story. Yeah, it sounds like something Steinbeck would write, huh? I'm sure that I got the idea from The Grapes of Wrath, which has settings that took place in that exact same spot. I actually think about John Steinbeck's writing often when I'm out there. Well, I'm going to stop there for today. I'll wrap up here. Maybe I'll lay down and just take a quick nap here. And then go home and start my house cleaning. And then Yumiko and I have shopping to do today, and we'll get on. Yeah, happy Sunday to you. Thoughts, ideas, and what? Wow, haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you. And then allergy, yes, it's spring, tongue in cheek. Something to consider. Have a great day, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.